edge of the world, telling stories of black kings and queens.
It's You Talk Baby.
Every topic, every voice, like a new kind of pearl. Shining light on truths to make the future swirl. It's Real Talk Baby. El Frankenstein, coming through, baby. Real topics, real stuff for the people, baby. Buckle up and let's roll with Real Talk Baby. It's Real Talk Baby. It's Real Talk Baby. It's Real Talk Baby. And it ain't no me without you, baby. It's You Talk Baby. And it ain't no me without you, baby.
It's You Talk Baby.
What's up, y'all? What's happening? You're tuned in to another live episode of Real Talk, broadcasting right here on the You Talk Network. And we got a live show for y'all tonight. My wonderful co-host is still getting some things together. Looks like we'll be able to get her in momentarily, but just wanted to come on here tonight. And there she is right there. Let me bring her on in. You good, sis?
I will be in a second.
All right, let me know.
All right, got you.
All right, cool. Yeah, big show, and it's a whole lot of stuff going on. But anyway, y'all know how we start every show. It ain't no us without you, baby. Real Talk family, what's going on with y'all tonight? Like I said, we got a very important show. We got a whole lot of stuff going on, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about. But before we get into it, we got to get to the business as usual. And we have some special guests tonight as well. We're going to bring them in a second as well. But as always, we got to get to the business at hand. We got to get to the shout outs.
Absolutely.
And we listen, after what we just dealt with before we came on, we definitely going to get these shout outs out the way.
Yes, we are.
Absolutely. Yes. So first shout out of the night, as always, goes to the man, the myth, the legend himself, the creator and the proprietor of You Talk and the You Talk Network, our brother, Mr. Devin Lloyd, aka D. Shouts out to you, brother.
We love you, D.
We love you, bro. We love you for what you do.
Absolutely.
Second shout out of the night. Look, when D calls him the super producer, he ain't lying. That is the super producer.
I swear.
That brother can make magic. He can make magic.
Unbelievable.
Yes,
I know he knows it. He has to know it.
when you're good, you're good. And
one thing about this brother, like, I am him.
What? But the second shout out of the night, as always, it has to go to the super producer, Mr. Marquise Judge, King Judge Productions, KJ Productions is in the building. Shouts out to you, Marquise. Thank you for what you do and keeping us going.
Thank you so much.
Third shout out of the night has to go to the merchandiser, the man behind the merchandise and the designs and everything, all the logos and all the merch, t-shirts, caps, coffee cups, mugs, everything. You name it. All of it. It has to go out to the one and only Mr. Joseph Bernard, aka B. Nah. or as he's known in our group chat, Overton Wakefield Bernard.
You are so petty. You are so petty, yo.
That's our guy. That's our guy.
I don't got nothing to do with that, okay? Nothing.
It's all good. Quick shout out to our guy, one of our day ones, Brother Jay, man. Brother Jay is a friend of the show.
Jay. And
he's always, been there for us. He's been out a little bit dealing with some stuff, man. But Brother Jay, it's so good to see you in the building.
Yes, absolutely.
Fourth shout out of the night, as always, has to go to our live audience, our viewing audience.
Yes.
And the rewatch squad, because when this thing replays on YouTube, they're going to be rewatching it. So we want to shout out everybody, it literally no us without you.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We love y'all.
Final shout out of the night. As always, I can't go without giving props. I can't go without giving credit where credit got to be due. The person that helps this show go, the person that is just Batman and Robin, how we be rolling, my sis, the wonderful Miss Shy Blue. Shouts out to you, sis. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you,
We
Larry.
appreciate
Can I add a
Most
shout
definitely.
out?
Absolutely.
To you, Robin. You got a shout out.
I get
There's
a
no
shout
me
out.
without you, man. I can't do it. Batman need a Robin, Robin need a Batman. So
Hey, we're gonna put the bat signal up in the air and then we're gonna start fighting crime. That's how we do it. That's how we do it. Appreciate you, sis.
Crazy.
Appreciate you, sis.
Got you.
So before we bring our guests in, I have a special announcement. Right now, this stream is being simulcasted on TikTok.
Okay.
So for those of y'all that's on TikTok watching this broadcast right now, there should be a link somewhere up there that'll bring you over here to the YouTube side. So if you want to participate live in the show, we have the links where we put up where you can come in and have live discussion. You can chat in the chat box and everything. Hold up, Brother Jay. Brother Jay said, "Hey, sis is beautiful." So
thank you,
that's Brother Jay. Brother Jay is all right. But for everybody on the TikTok, right. So for everybody on the TikTok side, to be a part of the live broadcast here on the YouTube side, click the link. Once you click the link, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you can get, breakdowns of all our shows. You can go look at past shows, future shows. You can participate live. We ask you to do that. So real quick, sis, before I bring the guests on, how you doing? How was your off time? How was your week?
Off time? I don't get no off time. First of all, my son is going to prom this week. So I'm such a proud mom. Had to get his tux, and I'm still shopping. It's like everything just feels like it's last minute, overwhelmed. But I am so excited. Happy tears, of course. And then he graduates in 2 weeks. So yeah, it's like I'm so overwhelmed, but it's like I'm trying to appreciate the moments. I don't want to let the emotions get too overwhelming, and I just, not think about the actual moment, what's going on. Like, I'm so proud of him. I couldn't be any more proud. But so I'm still enjoying my job that I just got. Probably been there for now like a month. So I'm doing really well with that. So yeah, just being a mom and getting the ball rolling. I'm happy.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
And
blessings
tired.
upon blessings.
And tired.
Well, when you're tired, that means you're normally doing something right. So you know what?
Yeah.
Enjoy, because those days are going to come. Let me tell you something. All mine are grown. And I tell you what, I wish I could go back to those high school days when they graduated.
Okay.
As I was telling one of our guests earlier in the pre-show chat, my son is actually graduating college on Friday. So,
are you serious?
Yes.
Wow.
He's graduating college.
Where's he graduating from?
Southern.
Okay.
I know we got some FAMU people up in here. I know one of our guys is a Bethune-Cookman. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna call it like it is, the Southern University.
I know that's right.
I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yes, congratulations.
Appreciate it.
That's what's up.
So, family, we're gonna get into the show. The topic of the show tonight is the Karmelo Anthony case. I mean, this thing is running rampant all over the place.
Yeah.
And people are really, one way or the other, they have a lot to say about it. There's a lot of feelings, good and bad, both sides of the line and all of that. But as it pertains to that situation, how is that affecting the racial divide that we currently see in this country? You know the administration. We know what we got in Washington, D.C. I'm not going to even give them the title. I'm not going to even categorize the president. We just know that person in the Oval Office up there.
Yeah.
That rhetoric he puts out and how it's trickling down. So that's the topic of the night. And for tonight, we have some special guests.
What do we have?
Go ahead on and bring them up one by one.
Okay.
Our first guest, 51 years old. He's originally from New Jersey. He owns a small commercial cleaning business in Georgia. He has experience working in social services, mental health, addictive services, working with the homeless and community corrections. And also, he was detailing to us about a situation that he was dealing with his son. He's actually in a fight where he's advocating for justice for his son. And as we get deeper into the show, he's going to tell his story, because his story needs to be told. One thing about You Talk, the way we do it, we all about the people. And if there's anything that needs to be put out to the viewing public, we do our best to make sure the message gets heard. So without further ado, let me bring in our first host. Please give him a warm Real Talk welcome, Mr. Jamarr Hopkins. Welcome, sir. How are you doing?
Hey, Jamarr.
Hey, how y'all doing? Thank you for having me. Thanks
Of
to all
course.
the listeners and all the viewing public. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely.
Have this discussion.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we thank you for joining us because this right now is a tough time. And just a little backstory to how we got on. I actually saw Mr. Jamarr on TikTok. I saw a lot of his content, and a lot of what Jamarr is saying. It just stuck out. And I mean, when we decided, what's up, DJ? How you doing, bro?
Hey,
When we
DJ.
decided to Chris Kane, when we decided to do this show, I had to reach out to him, and it's just his message was just so powerful.
Yeah.
Go in accordance with what he's dealing with personally in the fight that he is fighting. I said to myself, you know what? We got to make this happen. We got to make this happen. So thank you, sir, for joining us. Definitely.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you bringing me on.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
So now we're going to get to our second guest of the night. And our second guest is actually, you're going to see our second guest twice on this network in this month right here, because we have our Winning at the Game of Life business show where we highlight Black businesses and entrepreneurs and everything. And she's a realtor. She's in the real estate game. So she's going to be here a little bit later in the month to talk about that. But she was very passionate about the topic, and she really wants to, just speak her piece on it. Like you, sis, she's a mother to some Black sons. She's got 2 Black sons. So I know y'all are really going to have a lot in common from the motherly side,
Right.
So let me give her a proper introduction. She is a North Carolina real estate broker, 20-year active duty Army retiree. Thank you for your service so much.
Yes.
Multiple combat veteran, U.S. combat vet, disabled vet, U.S. Concealed Carry Association, NRA, North Carolina Department of Justice certified firearms instructor. And as I just mentioned, she's the mother of 2 sons. Let me tell you something. I wouldn't want to get on her bad side because evidently she knows how to work that. She knows how to work that steel, if you know what I mean. So let me bring to the stage. Please give a real talk welcome to our next guest, Miss Lashonda Hopkins, aka Miss Sean. How you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing
girl.
great. Hey, how y'all doing? Thank you so
Pretty
much
good.
for having me. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yes, of
Thank
course.
you. Thank
It's a
you for
pleasure.
being a part of it. We definitely appreciate you, and we're ready to get into this with you as well.
Yes.
Our third and final guest, he is a friend of the show. One thing I could say about him, we've had him on previously. If you go back a couple of years ago to the Bethune-Cookman situation with Ed Reed, D and I previously had him on for Winning at the Game of Life. And we got to know him, back then. And I watch his content on social media. And one thing about him, he is not going to bite his tongue. He stands on business. I really believe this phrase, standing 10 toes down, I think they were looking at his feet when they delivered that phrase, when they came up with that phrase. This brother definitely stands 10 toes down on everything. Let me give you his introduction. He is the senior capital broker of the Clapp Group, which provides business funding and commercial real estate funding across the United States. He's an economic development chairperson for the South Dade chapter of the NAACP. And you know what? He's always talking about it. So I got to add a little something for everybody down there in the South Miami area and Dade and Broward. He's a proud alum of Miami Central High School. I just had to let that be known because at the end, I know how them Northwestern Bulls be acting. I know how all them schools down there be acting. So he is going to represent for them Rockets. So definitely. So let's bring a warm welcome to our next panelist, our good friend, Mr. Eugene Clapp. Welcome to the stage, sir.
Welcome.
What's happening, you all? You know what, Larry? I tell you, you got me coming behind the equalizer here when you introduce her. I'm like, man, he should introduce her last. That's the equalizer. All she can do. I'm like, God damn. I'm like, oh,
That's right, sis.
God. Look here. Hold up. Am I doing it right? Did I do it right?
You gotta extend those fingers. It's all good.
Hey, okay, I got you. Hey, I'm happy to be here with you all. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Pleasure
We
having
appreciate you taking
Thank
your
you.
time out of your busy schedule to chop it up with us as well.
Yep.
So, as we said when we reached out to everybody, this topic was going to be the racial divide in America as it's spawning off of the Carmelo Anthony situation. And I don't have to give a real deep detail. I think we all know what's going on. We've heard the story. Carmelo Anthony, Frisco, Texas, suburb of Dallas, was at a track meet. under a tent. Apparently, he was trying to be forced to move. And when he moved, or when the person rather approached him to move, a scuffle ensued. And, you know, I got to be careful with the verbiage here because you know how YouTube is. But he took the poke out and poked him, and the person that he poked succumbed to his injuries. Since then, there's just been a social media outlash of just hate from one side. There's a lot of support from the other side, but it's a whole lot of stuff coming from both directions without the facts, without all of the facts. And the facts have yet to have been gathered right now because everything has to go into the court system and everything has to go to trial. So that's what everything is happening right now. So we wanted to have a basic discussion on this, and you know, the racial divide. A lot of people feel that there is no racial divide in America, that there is no racial problem in America. And listen, we're all Black. We're all in different parts of the country. I don't know about y'all, but I know when somebody doesn't like me for the melanin that I have in my skin. I know by the way I get looked at. I know by the way I get talked to. Right. There's just that feeling. So I want to start off as we go into this discussion with the initial charge, because they're putting a charge of, or trying to put a charge of first-degree murder. Okay. My question to the panel, given how everything has been explained, does first-degree murder fit, or does it seem like it's a little bit too much? Like they're going straight to, you know, the hardest charge that can get you either the most time. I think first-degree murder can get you the death penalty, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure.
I think so too.
Yeah, I'm not a lawyer, so just forgive me if I'm wrong, but I know that first-degree murder has the stiffest penalty if convicted. The reason why I'm asking is, and we're going to compare some of these other cases, the George Zimmerman situation, which was also stand your ground categorized in the state of Florida. He was tried on second-degree murder, but at the end of the day, he walked because they could not prove premeditated murder or the intent to commit premeditated murder. The right charge should have been manslaughter. I think if it would have been manslaughter, he probably would have been convicted. So getting back to Carmelo's situation, do you guys think that this first-degree murder charge is a bit harsh? Should they have gone for another charge? And then a second part to the question, the police chief of Frisco, upon the apprehension of Mr. Anthony, was on record as saying that he sent condolences to the Metcalf family, and it was a senseless act of violence. My thing is, as a police chief, how can you even say something like that before the investigation commences? I feel like by having a first-degree murder charge put out and then correlating a senseless act of violence, you're trying to make it hard for the defense to argue that there was self-defense. So panel, let's go.
So first I want to touch on the charge. So in the state of Texas, the worst charge is capital murder. Okay. So they gave him the first-degree murder, not the capital murder. So he didn't get the worst charge. I think the first-degree murder carries like 5 to 99 years or something like that. Okay. I still think, based on the facts that we know right now, I still think first-degree murder is still, it should be like manslaughter. But again, we have to understand that, listen, if they gave him manslaughter charge, then white people would have went crazy. So as far as I'm concerned, what I'm looking at now, based on the little bit of facts we have right now, yeah, that murder charge it's going to probably come down.
Now, with the facts, right? Is it a fact that the young man had told him beforehand, don't touch me or something like that? Or if you touch me, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, or I'm going to hurt you. Wasn't that like a phrase that was said in between all of this? Like, didn't he warn him? To my understanding.
So I read the police report. So it's a 7-page police report, 2 witness statements. Okay. And in that police report, you have 2 witness statements and what Carmelo said. And the 2 witness statements, both of these are Austin Metcalf supporters. So these were Austin Metcalf friends. Those two witness statements, when you read them, they're conflicting. You have the witness who claimed that Carmelo said, touch me and see what happens, and then Austin grabbed him and then he said, punch me in my face and see what happens. The other witness, according to him and what his brother Hunter Metcalf said, it was as soon as he grabbed Carmelo, Carmelo stabbed him. So if the other two witnesses are saying he grabbed him and he stabbed him, then how did he have time to say, now punch me in my face and see what happens? So those two witness statements, I think when more facts come out, because like you talked about the chief of police, we could just talk about the information that the police released. It's a lot of witness statements. It's a lot of them. And they only release to the public the statements that make Carmelo look bad. It's a lot of other statements they could have released, but they didn't. They only released the statements that make him look, touch me and see what happens. I'm gonna punch you in your face, punch me in my face and see what happens. Everything is and there was also an argument that ensued, but nobody's saying what the context of the argument was. Like, I've never heard somebody say, touch me and see what happens. And then when they touch him, they say, okay, well, punch me in my face and see what happens. It sounds more like somebody threatened him and said, I'll punch you in your face. And he said, punch me in my face and see what happens.
Exactly. It sounds like a response.
A response.
Yeah.
Like I said, like you talked about the information, the narrative that's being written. It's all painted to make Carmelo look bad.
Of course. I agree. But what is considered self-defense, Lashonda? What would you say is considered self-defense?
Yeah, so anything that's going to threaten one's life, right? So, as far as in the state of North Carolina, I deal with firearms, but as far as even if a person was coming up, like calling you out of your name or anything like that, that's not justifiable use of deadly force, right? If somebody just calls you the N-word or somebody calls you a B or whatever, so that emotional intelligence is what's important. I don't care what, method that you use to defend yourself, just having that emotional intelligence. If a person is trying to start with you, I teach my students about retreating, the importance of retreating, but ego, pride gets in the way. And that's why a lot of people are locked up, because they just don't know how to control their emotions.
Now, does the person actually have to touch you for you to defend yourself, or could be considered self-defense? Like if you're in my personal space, is that considered, and I do something, is that considered self-defense?
So here's the thing. So if a person is like committing like simple assault, right? So like the response has to match what's being done to you. You know how they say, hey, don't bring a knife to a gunfight. You know what I mean? So if a person slaps you, I mean, it makes sense to slap them back, right? If a person slaps you, it doesn't mean you just pull out your gun and just unload on them. You know what I mean? That is not justifiable use of deadly force, right? For simple assault. At least in the state of North Carolina, it's not. So I just think within this society that we're living in today, back when I was growing up, I'm 46. So when I was coming up, it's like, if somebody said something to you didn't like, hey, you just knock them out a few times, days later, you're back to being friends. Nowadays, people are just trying to end each other's lives.
Yeah.
And it's terrible.
It is.
Yeah.
I want to go back to what you said, Sean, about the self-defense, because it's come out that it's possibly some conflicting statements that were given by the twin brother.
Absolutely.
He initially, in his initial interview, he was saying phrases like we, us. He came to aid me, which suggests that he was also an aggressor to Carmelo. See, the painting is that the media is doing is they're trying to paint it as if it was Austin versus Carmelo, and Austin pushed him, Carmelo poked him, and here you have all this outrage. They're categorizing it as a senseless murder in that regard. But in actuality, as Dr. Umar said, I saw over the weekend, you have Carmelo, who is 5'9", 160.
Right.
You have Austin, who is 6'1" or 6'2" or whatever, 225.
Oh, wow.
That's a 65-pound difference. Now, add to that his twin brother, who is also 6'2", 225. Now you have damn near 300 pounds, two people coming at you. what are you supposed to do but defend yourself?
Right.
You know,
Right. I agree.
and they were also saying that they took his bag away, and that would constitute robbery.
Absolutely.
So the media is just flipping it, and they just turning it upside down. Something else I want to put to the panel, and Mr. Clapp, if you would interject, you know, on this next one, I want to talk about intent. Okay, the intent. If we look at some of these other cases, Kyle Rittenhouse is brought up all the time. Kyle Rittenhouse went to a BLM rally, and he unloaded on two people that attacked him. Now, under the auspices of the law, he was found not guilty. He was acquitted because he was self-defense. But what was his intent? Because he didn't even live in Kenosha, Wisconsin. He came from across state lines. So I feel like there was an intent for provocation. Go ahead, sir.
His mama took him there. His mother took him there. And you know, when I listen to us talk about this, I go back to incidences happening in my childhood and when I was growing up, because I'm 56 years, and I can tell you some of the things that I experienced down here in Miami-Dade County and Broward County. And you would think that because it's cityfied, that everything's okay, but it's still a deep South.
Absolutely.
Florida is still a deep South.
Yes.
So, you know, when I look and when I think about incident I had on 27th Avenue, University Drive, I'm coming home to see my mom late one night. This is 1992. I have three guys in the truck pull up and say, "Hey, boy, you got a pass to be out here?" And when I jumped out with 2 9s in my hand, all of a sudden I was served. You understand? So my thing is, so many times we are provoked, but when we go ahead and defend ourselves, we are the aggressors.
Absolutely.
Now, when you think about this situation with this Anthony fella and these 2 Austin boys, or Metcalf boys, or whatever their name is, we all play sports here. And if you are from a black team and you're playing a white team, it's going to be some words exchanged. Okay? Now, it gets even worse if you are a black who goes to a predominantly white school. A lot of times, the harassment you get from your own teammates or from the people in your community or from those people who you go to school with is stupefying when you think about it. So for this young man who never had any prior charges to take a knife with him and use a knife, that lets me know I don't care what the police report says. It's been some bullying going on somewhere.
Yeah.
And he did do that to defend himself. So as a man who has a son, as a black man who has a son, as a black man who remembers the talk that his mom and his grandma and his aunt sat down with him and had and said, "Boy, you're 10 years old now. You're 10 years old." They don't look at you as a boy anymore. You're looked at as a threat. You're looked at as a man. You're going to start seeing when you walk in stores, they're going to follow you. And all these things happen just like my parents said they would. My son is 28 years old. He lives in the Orlando area. I had to have the same talk with him.
Right.
And then you will have whites. And let me tell you, because of what I do with business funding, I see everything from the lowest of the low to the highest of the high in corporate.
Right.
Because of my position with the NAACP, with economic development, I see all ethnicities on all socioeconomic levels. But when it comes to us, when it comes to our diaspora, we are still thought of as 3/5 of a human being.
Right.
See, here's the thing, y'all. When you dehumanize somebody, anything that's done to them, any kind of penalty you give them for doing something, it's okay. Because in their eyes, you're not human.
Right.
When white people look at us for the most part, and I don't care if they agree or not, when they look at us for the most part, we aren't human.
Mhm.
So if a person is not human, if they're a beast, if they're an animal, automatically when something happens, the animal came out. Well, let's think about it. Most hunters do what? They provoke the animal. The animal don't have a chance. It's not a fair fight. So if somebody's gonna come at me, I weigh $150. They're 225 pounds apiece. They already got malice in their heart. There's no telling what the story was before that. And they're going to come at me. You damn right I'm going to defend myself by any means necessary. Because at the end of the day, am I supposed to take that ass whipping? Am I supposed to take that, get injured or whatnot? Because guess what? Come what may, they're going to still assassinate your character. I mean, let's get off topic for a subject here and look at this. As Black men, our job is to protect our families. But we're seeing right now in this Project 2025 America that we live in, that as a Black man, you can't even want better for your boys. You can't even pave the way for your boys without having scrutiny.
Yeah.
So we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't. So, okay, we look at the situation. It's a bad situation. We look at the situation that just happened with a father, because his son had just gotten shot by a police officer. He goes out there and he kills a police officer the next day. Right. Now, I'm not saying he was right, but I'm going to tell you this, I understand. Yeah. I ain't saying he was right, but I understand. Because, see, sometimes when things like this happen, you can't turn the other cheek. You can't be wet with the fire hose. You can't have nonviolence. Sometimes, if they bruise your head, you got to bruise their heel. So, you know, it's an unfortunate situation. Yeah, the brother's going to get ostracized. The whole thing with George Zimmerman down here in Florida, it pissed us off. I just was a host for a Peace and Praise walk over the Martin Luther King Day weekend, where we had all these young men and some young women, African American, who succumbed to gun violence. Some by our own hand, some by the police, some by other ethnicities. And it's open season on us right now. This whole Project 2025 thing, all the laws being taken away, all the protections being taken away. It's all about eradicating.
All right, yeah,
That's
you chopping up. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, you good. You good. You chopped up a little bit at the end. We missed the last part, but definitely, I mean, it
yeah, I was saying, you know, I was saying, you know, I pretty much was done.
Okay.
Yeah, I pretty much was done. It was all for me on that topic.
So I do have something to chime in, Mr. Clapp, and that was wonderful, everything that you said, first of all. But okay, just speaking as a mom, right? So I teach my kids to, you know, make it home another day. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is, again, I get it. You know, those white kids, they were bullying the young man. At the same time, you know, I didn't see anywhere where any punches were thrown or anything like that. So it becomes unjustifiable. Just because a person has, you know, you can't kill a person just based off of their appearances. That's what happened to Trayvon Martin. So I just don't want us to be hypocritical here. So if George Zimmerman, he killed Trayvon Martin just based off of how he looked. The young man didn't do anything wrong. He was walking from a corner store, going back home with his tea and Skittles in his hands. And that young man lost his life for no apparent reason other than how he was dressed, what he looked like, and the color of his skin in the wrong neighborhood. Right? So that was wrong, right? Okay. So when it comes to this young man, Karmelo Anthony, okay, these two white boys bullying him or whatever the case may be, I get it, but not over just words. If they would have assaulted him, like punched him in the face or whatever like that, or somebody knocked him down or anything like that, and it's two trying to gang up on one, yes. But just for words, no. And that's what I'm saying, as far as just making sure that our children, because you said something that is so profound, sir. as far as when it comes to the same speech that your grandmother gave you when you was young, and then in turn, here it is decades later, and you're giving the same speech to your son, and guess what? Your son's gonna give the same speech decades later from now, right?
Yeah.
So that's when you know that it's totally different when it comes to us. So being that it's different when it comes to us, we really have to educate our children. Listen, kill them with your words, not with your hands all the time, right? Because this young man would be free and at home in the comforts of his bed had he just known how, hey, listen, let me walk away. Let me walk away. Let me just get out of here. We arguing over a seat. You can have it, brother. I'm gonna go ahead and live another day. And we have to just learn that within our culture. And it doesn't take anything from you or away from anybody because you choose to walk away. But like I said before, that pride and ego gets in the way. Oh, you ain't gonna talk to me like that. You're not gonna tell me what to do. And then in a split second, now your life has changed as you knew it.
But let me interject real quick, because I think that's where we need to get the facts of the case, because I think they're still gathering the police report. They still got over 30 witness testimonies. They still got to go through cell phone video. And from what I saw, and Mr. Hopkins, I know you're up on it way better than I am. Correct me if I'm wrong. But from what I saw that the body of Metcalf was so many feet away from where the initial altercation took place in the bleachers. And from what I was reading, that is suggesting that it's a possibility that Carmelo was actually retreating and trying to remove himself from the situation. And then the Metcalf, I'm gonna just say Austin, because we don't know for sure if it's Hunter, we can assume. But it seems like it's a possibility that they still went at him. Now, if you're retreating and they still go after you,
then you got to defend yourself.
Exactly.
Then you got to defend yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
So
but like you said, gathering the facts though, because right now so many misinformation floating around on social media, we really don't know, other than if Mr. Jamarr, since you did read the police report, maybe you can enlighten it for us.
Yes, please.
So the police report is not really saying too much outside of what the witnesses said. And the witnesses are just talking about the words that were said. But we don't have to speculate whether it was Austin and his brother Hunter and more, because Hunter said it himself. He said it right on the news. All you have to do is watch him. He said, we approached him, but he didn't specify who the we was. He said, we approached him and we told him he couldn't be sitting here. He got disrespectful and he got aggressive, and he started talking reckless. And then my brother Austin stepped in. So evidently somebody in Hunter was having words with Carmelo first. And then my brother Austin stepped in and escalated it. He's the one who escalated it. Right? So we don't have to speculate. It was definitely Austin, Hunter, and probably now I'm speculating, and the two witnesses. It wasn't just Austin, because Hunter said it himself. In regards to something Miss Sean said was, I had to start, like, if you keep letting the small things slide, it'll be your failure. And for a long time, Black men, we've had to have this talk with our children. We've had to be the ones to say retreat, and they're killing us. They're killing us. Two boys in Georgia just got found on a mountain dead. And one of the reasons is because we look at the white people as unassuming. That's how they're able to walk into a grocery store and kill innocent Black people. That's how they're able to get in a church and kill innocent Black people. Because when we look at these white men, they're unassuming when they are the most dangerous people to Black people in America. When I pull up to the gas station, I see the young boys, I understand them. I know their energy. I ain't worried too much. But when I see a white man in Black spaces, I pay close attention. Do he have on body armor? Is he got something hanging from his hip? Because those are the ones who are still killing Black people for being Black. So yes, we can have these conversations with our kids and tell them, look, make it home. Sometimes learn to humble yourself. But at the same time, we have to understand that listen, we don't always have to retreat. That young man did not have to leave from up under that tent.
Right.
He had friends in that school. The witness said that. Go ask his friend that goes to Memorial. He knows his name. That's in the witness statement. So he was under the tent with his friends. You guys push up on him. He tell you he don't want to leave.
Right.
You decide that not only did you lay hands on him, but you try to take his property. So we got an assault and a robbery, 2 felonies going on.
And they don't mention that at all. They don't mention that at all.
Right.
Right.
But here's my thing too, Mr. Jamarr. So the thing is this, and you're absolutely right. I'm not trying to, debate that, but at the same time too, right? When I say I teach my kids to make sure that they make it home, right? So my oldest son is 22 years old, but he's a government contractor in Iraq, right? My baby is 14 years old, but he's taller than most grown men. You know what I mean? So as far as whomever mentioned earlier, when it comes to our children, once they turn a certain age, like 10, they're not looked at as kids anymore. People often mistake my baby for being a grown man, right? So again, when it comes to, because I don't want to just make it a problem if it's somebody white. Because you see that all the time within our community. It's only a problem when it's black versus white. We can kill each other every day. It's okay.
We are killing each other.
We are killing each other every day. Yeah. So my thing is that, again, I don't want to be hypocritical. When we want to address the issues, we got to stop doing it to ourselves, number one, before we can even get mad at somebody else from doing it to us. Because that intra-group racism is real. That's why black people can't come together now. Because we're too busy trying to tear each other down. That's just a fact. So as far as where did it come from, this didn't just start today. It's been that way. And how is it going to change? It's only going to change if we all can come together and start with ourselves. You know how they used to say, sweep around your own door before you start sweeping around somebody else's? Right. We got to do our part. So it's not a matter of, okay, you can't retreat all the time. I'm not saying you got to retreat each and every time if somebody is following you. If you're retreating and a person is following you, hey, then you got every right. Go ahead and defend yourself. But what I am saying, over words, you can say whatever you want to say to me. I'm not going to unload the clip on you for what? Because I got to explain that to a daggone prosecutor. You know what I mean? And 12 other jurors. Why did I behave in that manner? You know what I mean? So that's all I'm saying. We have to really sit down and think about what we are doing. Our music is jacked up. The videos is jacked up. Social media is jacked up. Social media. It's so much stuff that is going on. And like I said, it only seems like it's a problem if it's a white cop killing somebody black, or if it's a white person or a black person killing somebody white. But we can do it to ourselves, and it's A-okay. Right.
Facts.
All right, got a little passionate.
No, I love it. It was all facts. Now, wasn't Anthony, wasn't he touched first? Didn't they touch him first, though? Wasn't it some physical contact before anything, or no?
Yeah, there was physical contact. I mean, all 3 witnesses and Hunter all admitted to Austin grabbing him. If you ask me, again, I'm just speculating. It appears to me like they downplaying it. Right. They're just turning it into a grab.
Yeah.
Oh, he just grabbed.
That's what it appears.
Right. To me, they just downplaying it. And that's just how I see it. They're downplaying it. They definitely put their hands on him. They definitely try to take his bag. I mean, that's been admitted. That's been admitted.
They actually took his bag, though, right? They didn't try to. They actually took it.
I didn't hear him say they took his bag. I think they was grabbing at it. They grabbed his bag. And that's what I mean by the witness statements are so conflicting. That's all the facts we have. All we have is the police report with those witness statements. Everything else is just people talking on the internet. But if you go to the police report, you will hear exactly each witness, including Hunter, all admitted to Austin grabbing him and trying to take his bag.
But I think even after the incident occurred, I think Anthony, to my understanding, was even, crying and asking if he was okay. It wasn't like he was upset or,
No. He asked the arresting officer, did he make it? He did.
Right.
He did show
some type of remorse still.
If you look at the mugshot, look at his facial expression. We've all seen mugshots of people that have done stuff that got no regret for what they did. They just sitting up there like, yeah, I did it.
Right.
You can see the remorse on his face in his mugshot. You can tell that he realized he made a mistake.
Right.
But why even show a mugshot?
So Larry,
to demonize him. Yes, sir.
Oh, absolutely.
I got to put this out there because I understand what Ms. Hopkins is saying. I do understand that. But let's look at this scenario. Let's look at, okay, if he did try to retreat. It's probably 4 and 5 against 1. They start beating him down. He's in a coma or something. He hits his head. And these little white boys go off, show some remorse in front of the judge, and get probation. Meanwhile, his life is messed up. He's probably a vegetable because they done beat him down. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Is that justice?
So here's my thing. We can no. Hold on. I'm gonna answer your question. So that again, this is speculation, and we can do that all day. Okay. We can only talk about what actually happened. But to answer your question, okay, as far as if he was to have gotten, you know, if like 4 or 5 people came over there to jump on him, it's more substantiated for him to defend himself in a court of law, as opposed to, hey, if a person just comes over there and they grab him, just like if somebody grabbed you right now, if somebody grabs you by your shirt, you understand? Or they punch you in the face or something like that, or slap you in the face, that is not going to kill you. Now, if I come up with a bat or I got a crowbar in my hand, okay, now that can cause you, you know, physically bodily harm. That can give you a concussion or anything like that. You have every right to defend yourself. So as far as the young man, if somebody put their hands on him, on Carmelo, you know, first or whatever, he has the right to defend himself. But what I'm saying is that the reason why the judicial system is not fair, and we can talk all day, it's not going to change no time soon. That's just the facts of the matter, right? And so when you have a black boy who has murdered a white person, it's not going to be fair anyway. You can flip this story around. Would that little white boy even be in jail right now? Probably not. Probably not. No. Right? Absolutely not. So my thing is, we can't sit here and say, as far as, okay, well, if that would have happened, hey, I'm not saying just sit there and allow somebody to beat you to death. That is not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is, as far as we have to teach ourselves, and not just kids, because you see grown people acting like that. You know, somebody say something to you out in the public, the first thing a person wants to do is either grab their firearm or they want to go and, oh man, what you say to me? No, you got to have the right mindset. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I think to piggyback off of what you were saying, I want to go back. I think one of the things that's going to have to be established in court is what was, and this will come out when Anthony gets on the witness stand, or gets on the stand to testify rather. What was his interpretation of the event? Because yes, if somebody pushes you, that does not give you the right to shank them and take them out. But at the same time, are you really aware of what's going on when that sequence happens? I can go back to the Zimmerman situation. We all know how it went down. The 911 dispatchers, when Zimmerman called and said there's a suspicious person walking around here, the 911 dispatchers told him, stay away, don't approach him. We got people on the way to check him out and take care of that. What does he do? He takes it upon himself to disobey 911 orders, dispatcher orders. He goes at the guy. He goes at Trayvon. And then, pardon my French, when Trayvon started whipping his ass, then all of a sudden he wants to act like, oh, I'm threatened for my life, which we've all heard that phrase before. And guess what? He pulls out the steel, takes Trayvon out, and guess what? Understand your ground. It's almost like he manipulated what stand your ground is meant for to justify the fact that he had no right to go mess with him. That's why everybody was outraged back then. Okay, Trayvon would still be here right now if you'd listen to the 911 dispatcher. Let the police do the job. And I feel in a certain regard, and to a certain extent, with the Carmelo Anthony situation, let's just be 100. Whether it was Austin, Hunter, or whoever, if you felt that Carmelo was sitting in a tent that was for your school and he did not belong, why didn't you go get a coach? Why didn't you go get a cop? An authority figure? Let them handle it. Why did you feel that you had the right and you had the green light to forcibly move this young man?
Oh, that's called privilege. white privilege.
You know where I was
And I'm
going.
just keeping it 100. That's the reason why. You know what I mean? And that happens in a lot of cases throughout this country. So the thing is that because whoever said, as far as like with the predominantly white schools, see, we like to think that if we send our kids to a predominantly white school, that they're going to do so much better, right? But that's not always the case. They get bullied even worse, because then it's like a sense of you don't belong here. You understand what I'm saying? And so that's exactly what Carmelo experienced. You know what I mean? They felt like he didn't belong there. You know, it had, to me, I don't even think it had anything to do with him not being a part of the school. It just had to be a part of him not looking like everyone else around him. Hey, what are you doing in here? You need to go over there.
Mm-hmm.
And you get it from both sides, because you'll get it from the people in the school that don't feel that you belong. And at the same time, you go back to your community, they're going to think you're trying to be more than what you are. They're going to call you a sellout and all of this stuff.
Right.
And like, how can you win? You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, Shy. You got something else?
Yeah, I was going to make a comment. And my son, I used to live in South Carolina. My son was in the 10th grade, and we moved there. It was a school that was right up the street. It was like, basically, when I move, I find a great school first, and then that's where I move. I move, you know, to the nice areas as far as with the school. Well, I try to. And so this particular year, my son was on the basketball team. He got accepted. My son plays really well, right? The guys, the white kids were saying certain things to him, you know, really would kind of be considered as bullying. My son let it roll off his shoulder and just kept it moving. He made a few comments to me about it, but he was like, "Mom, I'm good. I'll handle it. I'm okay." So I guess it got too far. The kids were starting to say certain things and just taking it way, way, way too far. He said something to the teachers. He said something to the coaches. They said, "We'll handle it." My son brought a knife to school. He put it in his book bag. Okay. Brought it off to school. I didn't know nothing about it. So I get a call from the coach that says, "You need to come up here. We have the cops up here. We're about to arrest your son. He's getting expelled. Hold on. What's going on?" Long story short, they had suspended him temporarily. And we had to actually go in front of like the superintendent, the principal. There was a police officer, and we fought it, and we won. You know, my son had to get off the basketball team. However, it was ridiculous how many times we went to that school about my son getting bullied. But as soon as my son, you know, did something for his protection, it was, "Oh, he's the bad guy." And my son was like, you know, they wasn't putting their hands on me, but they were saying threatening things. One of the kids had a lighter that said "nigger" on it.
Wow. Wow.
What happened to that kid? Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing at all. First of all, you're not supposed to bring lighters to school.
Right.
And then you have that word on there.
Right.
He didn't get kicked off the team. He didn't get kicked out of school. He didn't get suspended. He didn't even have in-school suspension. I took my son out of that school like that. You understand what I'm saying? And it's like, what if that was my son in that situation? That's what I thought of when I first heard this situation with Carmelo Anthony. Like, what if that was my son? He used to run track. He used to go to different schools and competitions. And what if he was sitting under a tent at another school? And somebody approaches him? You know, of course, I want my son to come home. And I agree with you, Lashonda, come home. However, that's not always so easy to do, especially in today's society, especially with this generation. It's not that easy to do. Everything is being recorded. Everything, your response, how you act, what you say. You walk away, you a sucker, you know, or you say something to the teacher or the principal, you're a snitch. So it's like you're getting bullied and things like that. So it's like so much goes on in a young man's mind when they're in certain situations. Of course, they want to come home. Of course, they just want to walk away. Of course, it seems petty. But when you're in that flame and that fire, and it's everybody looking at you, the kids, oh, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? They got their cameras out.
Yeah, the pressure.
It's that pressure. You understand? So it sounds good, and we want the kids to react that way, but it's not always like that. And think about how many people have their hands up and say, "I have no gun, I have nothing, I surrender."
Right.
How many times people got shot with their with the back turn? I'm no harm, I'm not a threat, and still get shot. You understand what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, let me save myself before something happens to me. Let me think about what I need to do before it happens to me. It's either it's going to be me or going to be you.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely.
Real quick. Let me get this shout out. Eric Myrick, man, Dave Warner, you talk, man, a friend of the show, man, with the $10 dono, man. Thank you, bro. We appreciate you. Go ahead, continue.
So no, what I was going to say as far as with Shy, you're absolutely correct. And again, with those people who had their hands up and were shot by, I'm assuming that you're talking about law enforcement,
Not
right?
just that,
Not just them.
it could be, but not just
Okay,
them.
because I don't really hear about the situations where it's a person, that's not law enforcement shooting somebody with their hands up. You don't really. I'm just saying you don't hear about that.
We don't
you
really
hear
hear
about
that.
right. You hear about the law enforcement though, right? And
Yeah.
this is what I want to say: people act out of fear. A lot of these crimes are happening out of two reasons: a place of emotional unintelligence, and then also too out of fear. They're afraid. They don't know what's going to happen. And so, but again, in that split second of just thinking, okay, look, let me just go ahead and shoot this person, or let me stab this person, or let me just go ahead and tase this person until they pass out, or whatever the case may be. But there's repercussions to all of that. Now, as far as with your son, I do want to touch on that, because that bullying is real. That's the society that we're in. And it's not just kids that get bullied. You have adults that get bullied too, believe it or not. You got these 40, 50, 60, God forbid, 70-year-old bullies that are out here just trying to destroy people. They destroy their character. They get mad. They want to go and try to look you up and do all this other petty stuff, right? Because again, that ego and pride, you challenge anybody's ego and pride, they instantly get in their feelings. That's just what it is. So if adults are doing it, you already know children are doing it.
Absolutely.
But as far as with your son taking a knife to school, and I'm glad you guys were able to fight that, but what if he wasn't able to fight it and he would have got kicked out of school, couldn't return to school for the rest of the freaking year or whatever. Those
or
teachers
got locked up.
Or got locked up. Exactly. For bringing a knife to school, because that's against the law. You're not supposed to bring knives to school, right? Just like that other little boy wasn't supposed to have the lighter in school. But again, how can I say? It's tougher stipulations on us. As opposed to when it comes to Caucasian kids. That's just what it is. That's just what it is.
That's all. That's all facts. And what I want to do. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. And my son did the right thing initially. He went to the principal. I went up to the school, and the response was, "I'm going to take care of it. We're going to investigate. We're going to investigate." But while they're so-called investigating, so much has occurred. So much is still was going. He still had to be around those kids on their basketball. They was on the same basketball team.
Right.
Majority of the people in that school was predominantly white. My son's coming from Baltimore. He's a new black kid. So he was definitely being labeled and looked at. Even with the teachers that were there. One of the teachers gave him a book about a gay boy being in a gang in Baltimore. And it was like, what does this have to do with the curriculum? What does this have to do? My son wants to be a doctor. Why didn't you give him a book about being a doctor?
Right.
What does this book have to do with anything? Yeah. And guess what they said? We're going to investigate, Miss Blue.
I think I would have came and done.
I said, we got to go.
That's crazy.
This is in South Carolina.
Oh,
this is in South Carolina.
Yes.
So when the school system can't even protect you, what is the kid supposed to do?
Well, let's be clear.
I'm not saying that Anthony responded the right way.
Oh, no. But what I'm saying is that when it comes to the school system, so all of these systems are intertwined. So you have the judicial system, the healthcare system, and the education system. It's all intertwined. That's the reason why when it comes to our kids, as far as if they breathe too heavily in school or whatever, read the verbiage when they write them up. It's very criminal content. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I have a story that I'd like to piggyback off and tell about that, but I want to give Mr. Hopkins an opportunity because he has something that he's fighting for. We talked about it and I've been following it, but I'd like for him to detail it for our viewing audience. Mr. Hopkins, if you don't mind, would you please detail what you're fighting for and what's going on and what you're dealing with, sir?
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity. And so last year, May 2018, my son was murdered in Petersburg, Virginia. His body was found on a random porch. He had been beaten and tortured. When he was found, he was partially bound. He had been shot 6 times and he was naked. He was 22 years old at the time. He had a 2-year-old son. So what I've been fighting is narrative. And this is why I go so hard for the Carmelo Anthony case. It's about that narrative, right? He's 22 years old. He was black. The way his body was found, where it was found, people automatically assume that he was involved in some type of criminal activities. He must have been involved in a gang. He must have been, this must have been a drug deal going bad, or this was some type of situation like that. And I wanted to bring that up when we was talking about when Ms. Sean spoke about us in our own communities, right? Because you're correct, white supremacy didn't kill my son. Systemic, that didn't have nothing to do with white supremacy. But it is black police who are obstructing justice.
Right.
These are and it's not just regular black police. These are the upper echelon of the black community. They're from institutions. The chief of police is a Kappa. Right. These are from the. So I can get into that. I can get into the what about us part of the conversation, but I choose not to. But I just keep it on what I'm dealing with in the situation at hand. So that's what I'm fighting. For the last the anniversary was Saturday, May 3rd, 2018. Last year, a Petersburg police officer reached out to me. They told me that my son was murdered because drugs got delivered to his house by mistake, and he turned those drugs in. He took the drugs to the police station and turned them in. And the people who drugs it was thought he stole their drugs. Just recently, I just had another Petersburg police officer tell me the same thing. The detective that was investigating this case in 2020 told me that it was a mistake. Taj was murdered because somebody thought he did something that I know for sure he didn't do. But yet nobody's been arrested. Federal agents just flew out to Georgia Thursday, May 1st. I just met with federal agents. It took this long to get the feds involved. The Petersburg Police Department asked them for help. They came out, we sat down. I mean, I had to last year. So when the police officer gave me this information about the drugs being delivered, I held on to it because I didn't know what to do. I knew I couldn't trust the police. So I went to the state police. I sent the state police an email. Within 30 minutes of me sending that email, Petersburg Police Department called me and wanted to have a meeting with me. So I drove out there, but I drove with a plan. I said, I got to record these people.
Right.
Because the police had lied about the crime scene. They lied about his last known whereabouts. These things is on the news. Right. If you Google my son's name, Jamarr Hopkins, you go on YouTube, it's 9 minutes and 40 seconds. And 95% of it is inaccurate. Right. They you hear the police directly lying. They lied about it, but I can prove that they're not. So it's been difficult. Like if I go on TikTok, I post it, that gets 300 views. I talk about the Carmelo Anthony case, it gets 17,000 views. Right. So I don't get that support, and I attribute that to narrative, right? When they look at my son's case, they go, "Oh, I already know what that's about. He must have been." So that's what I've been fighting against. I'm fighting against the police, right? They've yet to admit it. Actually, in that meeting, they told me, "Oh, I can tell you for sure that didn't happen." But yet the feds came out here a year later and are asking me about it. They're asking me about, what this police officer said. You had a question?
Yeah, I got a question. So as far as your son returning the drugs, do they have any footage, any camera footage at the police station, anything?
No, they don't have any footage. I put in the Freedom of Information Act. They have no information, nothing. There's nothing and that's the issue. They can say it didn't happen, but they can't prove it didn't happen. You get what I'm saying? Like they can say, "Oh no, that never happened," but you can't prove it never happened. And basically what they're putting it on me as, well, it ain't what you know, it's what you can prove.
Right.
Can you prove it? Right. Now I'm 7 years behind. So me trying to prove that is going to be difficult. But you know, I've been fighting it. I mean, as far as to get to where I am now, you go back, just think about this. You go back 7 years. This wasn't something that wasn't known. These police knew this for years. Right. So when I'm not from Petersburg, I have no connection to nobody in Petersburg. My son was not from Petersburg. He just started living there. So I knew nobody. They held all the cards. So in 7 years, I've been able to find out at least what this was about. I know everybody that was involved. I know, just like the police know. Police know every person that was involved in murdering my son, and nobody's been arrested.
Wow.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Woo,
Yeah,
boy,
they've had. Go ahead, I hear you. You got a question?
No, I said that's rough. Man. That is rough.
Yeah. So I got back on TikTok in January, but I'm just learning how to do content creation. Like I'm learning how to edit, and eventually I'm gonna be able to put the case together and lay it all out in details to show people. Like, you know, like I said, I have recordings. I have the police on you know, they was on the news and he said, you know, he was taped to a chair. He was never taped to the chair. So he actually lied about the crime scene. The police lied about his last known whereabouts. I have text messages to show where he's saying he was here. He was like one of the narratives that he went to play basketball at Virginia State University, but he never went there. Right. So where he was, where they abducted him from, is the last place he was. His Facebook page was deactivated 48 hours after his murder. The police never tracked that down. They claimed, yeah, it's been a long journey. So, you know, that's
Oh wow.
that's the gist of it, you know. And if you was to talk to the people of Petersburg, Virginia, they're gonna tell you, yes, our police force is corrupt. Somebody had a question?
Well, I got one. What about the community leaders? I mean, is there any?
I was just about to say that.
Has anybody even tried to step up?
The who?
Wow.
You know what?
I'm not from Petersburg. I'm the community leader. I've spoken. So how they have a different type of government. They don't have they have like a city council. The city council runs Petersburg. So the city council elects the mayor, and they hired a chief of police. Like the city council is the bosses. And from what I gather from the quote unquote concerned citizens is that the city council members are corrupt. Because one of the first things I did when he first got murdered, like you don't know. I came from another place where, okay, you murdered my son, we're gonna get it in. I'm just gonna be honest with you. That's where I come from. But I understood like that was my only child, right? So that's not how I could play this. I need to find out what's going on, what it is. So I joined a Facebook group, one of their Facebook groups, so I can at least connect with people from the city. And the first thing I learned in that group was a lot of police, a lot of city council members, they're in that group. So when I wanted to light a fire, I could come in there and I can post something and I know I'm lighting a fire. It's gonna get back to the police. It's gonna get back to the chief. I've had city council members reach out to me just to try to calm me down, right? They're not really trying to help, right? The first city council member reached out to me and said to me, the things that you are saying is painting a bad picture of the city. Not my son getting murdered in your city painting a bad picture. And by the way, this city is 89% black.
Right.
So there is only one white person sitting on that city council.
Real quick.
Everybody else is black. Go ahead.
Real quick, we got from the chat from our guy, Mr. Cannon, the day one. He says he's got his people reside in Hopewell. And he's saying right here, get in touch with, he's given the name of Maurice Watkins.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Candace from that area. Continue. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so that's been like, yeah, that city is 89% black. It's one white person that sits on the city council member. It's one of those places where it's us against them mentality. So they're willing to stand by each other before they let an outsider come in and burn everything down, because everybody got dirt, right? Everybody got dirt on everybody. So it's like, yo, we need to stick together, because if I go down, we all gonna go down, or that type of situation. So it's even difficult to get a lawyer in that area.
Wow.
To go up against these people.
Now let me ask you something, a personal question. And you can feel free not to answer, but what keeps you motivated? Like, why haven't you given up? Like, it's been very long, and I know you're tired. And I know you have to relive certain moments over and over. But as a father, is this your only son? Was this your only son?
My only child.
What keeps you motivated to continue to fight?
Truthfully, right? So I'm 51, and I pretty much went around life like, nah, whatever, you know.
Right.
And when he was murdered, nobody, I'm it. I'm all he got. I'm his only voice. Like, if I stop talking, look around the internet. See how many people saying justice for Taj, right? So if I stop talking for him, I stop fighting, who's gonna do it?
Right.
So that's one of the motivations. It gave me that purpose. Like, my life changed in the last 7 years, a 360. Well, I don't like to say it, but it changed to the point where I became more responsible. Because I'm locked in. I understand that if I stop fighting, that's a wrap. These people, they get away with it. You could also, like Sean said, there's a lot of ego involved, a lot of pride too. You know what I mean? Like, nah, I can't let you do that. It don't matter who it is, and I don't think you big as you think you is. You know what I mean? Like, it's bigger than just the people. Like I said, I know the people. I know the people who murdered them. One passed away already. And I know all of them. I look at their pictures, and I'm not from Petersburg, but that's my motivation. I just know, like, if I stop fighting, who gonna fight for them?
Yeah.
True. So true.
Where do we go from here? And this is for the panel, everybody. Where do we go from here? Because I got some numbers here. I want to run off some numbers. When the judge in the case, Angela Tucker, dropped the bond from $1 million to $250,000 and put him on house arrest, they went at her. And here's the thing: she's a conservative judge. She's Republican.
Right.
From a political ideological side, she's on their side. But there was a lot of issue because originally GoFundMe had started to raise money. Then they yanked the GoFundMe because obviously, look at what you're raising money for, which I still think goes back to that initial police narrative set down by the police chief. Okay. So then Give, Send, Go comes up, and I think as of the weekend, I think they're up to like 500, 600,000. Okay. So that's for Carmelo Anthony. But I bring that up to say this: Shiloh Hendricks, for everybody. I mean, if you've been watching, this just got this, and it's not what she did that has me really tripping. It's the response. Shiloh Hendricks, a white lady in Minnesota, called a little 5-year-old black child the N-word. And they've raised to date, as of today, $600,000 because now she's in fear for her safety. She has to move. Okay. Some other totals I got. The guy Penny up in, I think it was in New York, that the train incident where a black man was murdered. They raised $3.3 million for him. George Zimmerman at the time, $340,000. Kyle Rittenhouse at the time, $580,000. So where do we go from here? Because most notably the Shiloh Hendricks situation, you have $600,000 worth of funds that have been raised to justify racism. Let me tell you something. Never mind using the N-word. Man, you gonna tell that to a child?
Right. Right.
Where do we go from here? That's my question. Go ahead.
Because they're stuck in a time warp. You got to understand, like some people, they don't know how to adapt to a changing world. And I'm not making excuses for anybody, right? But as far as when it comes to, you know, like some of these older white people, it can be male or female. In this situation, it's a female, you know, so for her to say that, that just speaks to the level of ignorance,
Exactly.
right?
Yep.
And it speaks to the level of how she's stuck in a time where she's still in circa 1800, where she thinks that she can say things like that and it's totally okay.
Well, Ms. Hopkins, it all goes back to what I said at first. 3/5 of a human being.
Right.
3/5 of a human being. And when you ask where we can start,
right.
You know, when I got out of college, I was very active in the NAACP. But then I kind of backed off because I didn't see what they were doing. But I can tell you this right now, each and every one of us need to be involved in our NAACP chapter locally. There are 2,200 chapters in the United States. Now, some say the NAACP has lost its way, and it may seem like that, but if that is the problem, then we're the solution because it's strength in numbers. It's strength in numbers, it's strength in economics. Whenever you can raise $3.3 million on the GoFundMe, $600,000 on the GoFundMe, $340 on the GoFundMe. See, the thing about them as opposed to us, they will stick by their people no matter if they're right or wrong.
That's the bottom line.
And support, not us. We can be fractured. We don't like each other. It goes back to the Willie Lynch syndrome, and they know this. They know this. So if you're fractured and you won't stick together for yourself, you can't win. So you know, we got to stick together first. Then we got to align ourselves with organizations that are going to help us stick together and be cohesive nationwide. Because let's make no mistake about it. We're not in Jim Crow 2.0. We're in 3.0. And we're right on the precipice of being back to some thought patterns and some acts in society that not one of us on this panel has ever seen. We may have heard about it. We may have been born right at the end of it, but we've never experienced it. We never witnessed it. And this is something that has been planned on every level, from the highest of the high politically to the lowest of the low in the backwoods in Tennessee. It has been planned, it has been carried out, and I will say this, I think before it's all said and done, we're going to come to a crossroads, and this crossroads is going to be for our survival. So we're not eradicated from this country because everything is being set up for that. People can do anything to our people with no repercussions. And we'll be painted to look like the bad guys. You're right. The black on black crime is out of this world. It's out of this world. But we have to get control of ourselves first. But then we got to fight it. And turning the other cheek, a lot of times ain't going to win it. I always say everybody wants to get to heaven, but don't nobody want to die. See the difference between us and our ancestors didn't mind dying for what they believed in. They didn't mind not catching the bus and walking for almost a year. And they did it cohesively. They didn't mind doing that. The thing about it, we have the narrative perpetuated that we have arrived, that we are somebody, that we are thought of as equal, and that we can do the same things. But the truth of the matter is, what we've seen the first, and I'm going to say his name, Donald Trump term, and what we're seeing in this second Donald Trump term should show any and all of us that we are not thought of as equals. And there is a narrative in this country right now, and there's a plan, and the plan has been out there for 4 years. Project 2025 for everybody to see that nobody took seriously. And this plan is to eradicate all of our rights. Hell, they even want to bring in white South Africans. Why do you think they're doing that? Because when we look at the stats, It's not a lot of white babies being born.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, when you start looking at things, peel back the layers. Don't look at the sensationalism. Peel back the layer and understand. Genocide is real. They're killing us right and left. Men, boys, women, and girls. And sometimes we help them do it because we got some, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. No, I ain't going to say it because I am NAACP leadership. But we got some Negroes. We got some Negroes who are stepping fetcher Negroes. And they don't have your best interest at heart. Mr. Hopkins, it sounds like that place is full of stepping fetcher Negroes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You understand? And they don't have the best. They just don't want to make sure they don't upset the apple cart and their cheese is moved. And Miss Hopkins, this is why sometimes you can't play by the rules. You can't go by the book or they'll read you like one. When you're dealing with an America that understands nothing but violence,
Right.
sometimes you got to go that way. And it as crash, as crude, as barbaric as it seems, sometimes that's the only way change is made and your voice is heard.
Yeah. I agree with that. My thing is, like I said, as far as I'm not trying to go to jail, me personally, I'm just not, what I'm saying? Orange is not the new black. It just isn't. And I don't think that makes me less black because I don't want to go to jail or, you know what I mean? I don't want my kids going to jail. I just don't want that. And so if that makes me a step and fetch Negro, then I guess I am because I got licensures to lose and I'm not trying to lose none of that. You know what I mean? I need to be able to carry to protect myself if somebody come and kick my front door down. You know what I'm saying? I go out here and do something dumb because I make a radical decision in a split second. Now I can't even defend myself. You want to talk about that, all right? Because the Second Amendment, it is a right, which means it can be revoked at any time. You know what I mean? So if I go out here and I commit a crime, I can't carry. You know what I'm saying? You can't defend yourself. So to me, that is jacked up. Because then when things do hit the fan and you are in a situation where it's life or death, now you can't even protect yourself.
Right.
And that's really what they want us to do. That's really what they want us to do. They don't want to disarm us. They want you to go ahead and disarm yourself.
Real quick. Real quick. Let me give another shout out real quick. Let me give a little shout out. I'll give it right back. Shouts out to Eric Myrick for another $10 donor. Thank you, brother. Continue.
Thank you.
Are you done? So you brought up the fact, you said, where do we go?
Yes.
Did America really change? Like, that's the question. Like, are we living in this? Like, this is how I feel about it. Like, I feel like a lot of black people, you said the word arrive, but like we living in this delusional world that America really changed. America is what America has always been. This ain't no new, this ain't no plan that came up in Project 2025. This is America. This is America that has always been. Right? It's the same America. They just showed us that with January 6th. They've been showing it to us. And black people in America, the only thing that's different is we keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. We still calling on the same leaders. We still calling on the same groups that been around since the 1930s and 40s. We keep doing the same thing. It's time to do something different. The bottom line is we all ain't never supposed, all black people are not supposed to be coming together. I'm not coming together with some black people that's telling me about them. They about them. They not really about all black people. Listen, I don't worry about what you believe in. Show me what you believe. And a lot, you want to know what somebody believe, watch how they live. They'll show you what they believe in by how they live in. All black people ain't supposed to come together. I ain't supposed to be a member of the NAACP. That is not my belief system. I believe in, look, we build up our black communities and I want to live with black people. I want to live with black people. I want white people to live with white people, right? That's what they want. That's what I want. Because I believe that black people outside of believing in this Constitution and believing in this American way, we would be just fine. Black men have never been able to police our communities, so our communities run rampant, right? We wasn't able to police our communities like the Italians.
Facts.
The Italian mob ran their communities and then turned around and put drugs in our communities and called us animals. The Irish, the Asians, everybody can patrol their communities, but Black people, our communities get over patrolled, right? And they call us animals. Our communities got hit with crack cocaine in the 80s. We talk about the violence now as if we don't remember the 80s.
Right.
They was killing in the 80s. The youth today, we look down on the youth. We don't even give them an opportunity. We talk down on them. So why do we think they're gonna listen to us? Not only that, we have a generation that feels like they can be disrespectful, but they need to be respected.
Respected.
Right.
Right? They want to be respected while being disrespected.
Right.
You can't talk to these youngins the way that you talk to us. You have to learn to adjust.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can't judge the way they dressing. When I look back how we was dressing, we wore straight leg jeans. We was tapering our jeans at the bottom.
Yeah.
Now we want to call them, we want to say that they pants is tight. We want to be focused on their sexuality. What do it matter? A lot of these gay Black men fight harder for the Black community than straight Black men. But we out here claiming they out here fighting for Black women. You got podcasters that are dedicated to destroying Black women.
Yeah.
Right? If you get on the internet and talk about black people in a negative way, you get 50,000 followers overnight.
Oh, absolutely.
The people, right? So we all ain't meant to rock together like that. But you vibe with your tribe. You get with your tribe. But I want to getting back to the Carmelo Anthony case. I stand by Carmelo Anthony because I'm defending him because they are attacking him. Right? Let's not pretend like they have not already found Carmelo Anthony guilty.
Right.
They've already found them guilty. Every narrative. So if we don't fight for him, if we don't speak for him, who's going to do it? We don't know what happened.
Right.
And we know how they will twist and turn something to make it sound like, he just stabbed him in his. No, he didn't. It had to be some more to that. We all more intelligent than that. We know something more.
I feel like he had a reason for even. I'm sorry, Lashonda. I feel like he had a reason for having that weapon on him. Like, was it something going on prior to that? Were they bullying him?
Had to have been.
You know,
It
like
had to
it
be.
was just too much of a coincidence for him to have that, for protection. Like, I don't know. That's just my opinion. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lashonda.
No, I was just going to say back to what Jamarr was saying, as far as when it comes to crimes and how, you have the optics versus the narratives, right? So thinking back to like Central Park 5, what happened up in Central Park many, many years ago. And those kids, they were kids at the time, they're grown men now. But at the time, they were just at the wrong place at the wrong time. And they were committed of crimes that they didn't even they were charged with crimes that they didn't even commit. And Corey Wise was the one that took the blunt of it, right? So because he was the oldest, so they sent him to Rikers. He was only like 16 years old in Rikers with grown men, being molested, being beat up. He was placed in solitary confinement for his own safety. So when I say again, right, and I get it, we all have our own opinion and I respect everyone's, right? But the thing is that if we can prevent our children from having to even get caught up in the damn judicial system, that is all I'm saying. Because not only does it change your child's life, it changes your life too.
Absolutely.
It changes your life as the parent. It changes your life as the mom or as the father. Because guess what? Now they're looking at you like you didn't raise your kid the right way. Even if you did. You see what I'm saying? So, and then it affects our communities too, because that's another brilliant mind that's gone to waste.
Yeah.
So that's all I mean.
Yeah.
I wanna say this, and we got a few more minutes. We'll be getting out of here real soon. Anybody that wants to come on live with the panel, express your thoughts and views. That's the StreamYard link right there. Just scroll up, click it. We'll bring you in. I want to say something. If you want to look at the current climate of the racial divide, because we had a comment before the show started. Mr. Clapp, he's seen it. We talked about it. It was a person of another race had put up there that there's no racial divide in America. That's just the media. And the thing about it is, when you're not on that side, like we're all on that side, it's easy for you to say that because you don't have to worry about every time a police lights get behind you. They don't even have to put the lights on you.
Right.
I was coming home from work today. I had a cop car behind me. I got my seatbelt on. I got my cruise set 2 miles under the posted speed limit, and I'm holding both wheels, making sure I don't swerve a little bit because I don't want you to pull me over for no reason. I'm 48 years old, and I'm all man. I ain't scared of nothing. But guess what? There's still a little bit of apprehension there, and rightfully so. So here's my thing, okay? Look at this situation. I'm gonna take it to some other stuff, some other examples real quick. You've seen for the last couple of years, we'll take it to sports, the Angel Reese Caitlin Clark thing. South Carolina, let's talk about it. When Iowa was getting ready to knock out South Carolina, what did Caitlin Clark do? She did the John Cena, you can't see me. Nobody said a word.
Right.
A couple of nights later in the national championship, when LSU beat Iowa, Angel Reese does the exact same thing. And she hurts feelings because she points at the finger saying, you know what? I'm getting the ring. You ain't got one. And what happened? White America lost their shit.
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
That's one example. Most notably, just last week with the NFL draft.
Oh, yeah.
Look at how Shador Sanders slid. Look how he slid. And I'm seeing a lot of white people on social media saying, well, he's just not that good. Wait a minute. Hold up. Wait a minute. This man had over 70-something% completion percentage in college football. This man put up big numbers. This man was part of an offense that turned the team from a 1-win record 2 years ago to 4 wins the last year to 9 wins this previous season. And on top of that, he was a top 10 projected pick all this time going into the draft. But all of a sudden, he slides. Why does he slide? I'm going to give you 2 reasons why I think he slid. One, go look at the Tamron Hall interview when she talked with his dad, with Deion Sanders, and she asked him, would he be involved? What was Deion's answer? That's my son. That's like me having a job and my son going to, or you having a job and your son going to a regular job and you're not going to say nothing. You don't do that. That part right there. And then add to it Shador's interviews. Shador exemplifies confidence. Being a confident black man, confident in your skills. And guess what? A confident black man is a threat.
Correct.
It's a threat. You can't play that poor person narrative that he came from nothing. Like I hate that. I hate every draft. I don't care if it's NBA, NFL. I cannot stand whenever they highlight and the people and the sportscasters that get on there, they start talking about this kid. He grew up in the poor section of whatever city. He come from this ghetto or whatever. I hate when they say that.
Right.
Because that almost makes it look like the only way you can be successful is you have to bounce a ball, run a touchdown, or pick up a microphone. And that, pardon my French, that's bullshit.
Correct.
That's a narrative they want to paint, though, Frank. That's a narrative. I mean, you talk about, look at Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter went number 2, but the thing they wanted to bring out that his father, who was on probation, was allowed. He was allowed to come to the draft. That didn't even have to be mentioned, but it was mentioned. Well, you know, when you talk about, and I had mentioned it earlier about fathers wanting better for their sons, Deion Sanders isn't doing anything that Archie Manning didn't do.
That part.
Come on now.
He's not doing anything that Jack Elway didn't do. They said if our son is going to play for such and such, he won't play.
Yeah.
But the mere fact that Deion is confident, he is brash. They say it's cocky, but you know, it all goes back to the words like, whenever they're talking about us black males, oh, we're aggressive. But when they talk about somebody else, it's the same thing, we're assertive. It all goes by the semantics that a person uses about you. And they want to cow you down. This was supposed to be a lesson to break this boy's spirit, to cow him down. It was buck breaking that we saw in the modern terms. No, they didn't have the black man spread eagle on the ground and sodomize him, but we'll just go ahead and take 40, 50 million out your pocket.
Right.
Now, even you can stand that, Shador. What about that black kid who does come from the ghetto? What about that black kid who may be looking at football as a way out. Now he ain't gonna say nothing. Now he gonna, yes, sir, master, yes, sir, master, yes, sir, master, to make sure he don't slide because he got to feed his family. Kurt Flood wrote a book back in 1972 called $1 Million Slave. And Kurt Flood was a baseball player. And he was talking about sports and how sports was pretty much a slave auction block. And if you think about it, that's what they do to you. But we still push our kids to go to these PWIs. We still push our kids to I'm not going to say shuck and jive, but to play by the rules. We still push our kids to be humble. I got the word humble out my vocabulary. I don't even know what that shit means no more. And I'm not trying to know what it means anymore because every other race of people can be assertive and confident, but we got to be humble and thankful. And that's in anything. When you talk about the situation like we were talking about with this kid, humble and thankful. Oh, I got to go ahead and take the road less travel because I'm scared of the repercussions. When we talk about this in sports, got to be humble, shut up and dribble, go catch a pass. You know, it's just things like that that get to you. And James Baldwin said it best years ago. To be black in America is to be perpetually angry. Perpetually angry. Now, we have to be intentional about how we think about things and strategic about what we do. But each one of them on this panel, at some time or another, we're angry because we're angry about the situations that are imposed upon our diaspora. And some of them are self-inflicted, but many a times are not. You know, the self-infliction is brought on by what has been cast upon us. All of us suffer from PTSD, post-traumatic slave syndrome. You understand? I mean, all of us do. That's passed down through your DNA. That's trauma, and we all suffer from it. And when you take people for 400 years, you disenfranchise them. You put them out there, you tell them, okay, go figure it out. And then you try to make them think they're less of them when they don't figure it out. What you think's going to happen? I mean, we can cite a lot of examples that aren't human that it is happening. We could, you know, it's going to happen. But what they're showing us day in and day out, it does not matter how great you are. It does not matter how good a parent you try to be. It does not matter how good a teacher. Hell, I was in the school system for 16 years. It does not matter how good a teacher you are. It does not matter how positive a community leader you try to be. At the end of the day, you still a nigger. And we're going to treat you as such. We're going to treat you like that. We're going to treat your kids like that because we don't want your kids to think that because you've done everything right, that you'll get a fair shake from this country and you're just as good as us. And yeah, Project 2025 is a narrative, but it's been around long before that. The only thing, the Band-Aid has been ripped off. This is a sore that has never healed. It won't heal in our lifetime. It probably won't heal in our children's lifetime either, because you cannot negotiate peacefully. You cannot negotiate with common sense with people who only know bestiality from A to Z. It just can't get done.
Facts.
Well, I would just like to say, since we sit here and just threw the N-word around so freely. So my thing is that if that's the mindset, and if you know that Black people are not going to be treated the same as white people, then I don't know what the outrage is with this young man being, you know, treated totally different in the judicial system, because that's to be expected based off of everything that you just said. So with that part being said, if we know that the system is totally different, if we know that we're going to be treated different as Black people, so why are we going to go out there and just give them a reason to, like, literally hang us, if you will, you know what I mean, for trying to stand up for ourselves?
Because I'm not going to go out there and get my head bashed in. That's why. Now that's just me. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and just take the gloves off of that. That's why. It's just certain things I can't let you go get away with. I remember I was 13 years old, Ms. Hopkins. I had just lost my father. He got struck and killed by lightning while we were playing golf. And I was up in the park, and it was my own people. And I remember stepping on this guy's shoe, because we all talking about the 80s. He put a gun up against my head like I was supposed to be scared. I turned around and put the barrel on my forehead. I said, this close, nigga, go ahead and shoot me, because dead don't hurt. See, the thing about it, when people know you're scared, people try certain things with you. Everybody ain't gonna get out of this alive, Miss Hopkins.
Well, no, but and I'm not saying that, but you could have lost your life in a split second because had you did that to the wrong nigga, you wouldn't even be here right now. I'm just keeping it because if you think you tough, it's always somebody out there tougher than you. So don't get that.
It's not about being tough. It's about staying off
like you was being tough.
If I gotta go, I gotta go. But I'm not gonna sit here.
If you would have pulled that shit with me, you would have went. Because my thing is that no, I'm just saying, and I'm not threatening you, but what I am saying is you pulled it on the wrong person. Oh, well, is this here? Yeah, you're gonna go ahead and get it then. You know what I'm saying? Because my thing is that you're sitting here trying to be aggressive. Now, I'm saying we don't have to get into that space. We don't have to be that way. But if you want to get out here and act like a stereotypical nigga, then that's exactly what's gonna happen. That's all I'm saying. We understand that it is different. It is a different world for us. It doesn't matter how educated, don't matter what your zip code is, your socioeconomic status, none of that matters. No matter what high school or college that you graduated from, don't care if you have a PhD, master's, or a bachelor's, or a GED, they are going to treat you differently. So being that you know that, why would you go out here and try to perpetuate the stereotypes that they already have placed upon us? That's all.
Nobody perpetuates anything, but the thing about it, you're not supposed to tuck tail and run.
But you, with all of your accolades, still a nigga at the end of the day too. So I just want to make sure we all know this. And everybody on this panel, it don't matter what we stand, where we're at, we still are Negroes at the end of the day, and we're gonna be treated as myself are still gonna be treated as aggressive Black women, no matter how mild or meek we may act. That is exactly what the label that they're going to place on us. For Black men, you're going to be looked at like you're either over sexually, or you're aggressive, like you just said. You can't be confident or anything like that. They're going to treat you a different type of way.
But Shonda, I think the title for the woman is strong.
Or strong. And girl, listen, that is a whole issue though, Shy. You say that, but
we had a topic about this.
Is a thing. It is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the reason why our men can't even respect us, because they are like, oh no, you're an independent Black woman. You like your degrees more than you like men. And that's not even the case. But again, we can't come together because we're constantly fighting against each other.
Fighting.
And I agree with that right there too. I mean, I don't want anybody weak in my camp. I want my woman to be strong, and I'm glad my wife is. You understand what I'm saying? But what I'm also saying too, everything you're saying, I do agree with. It's going to take all of us from every walk of life to do what needs to be done. But see, while we're thinking about doing it the right way, they're thinking about doing it by any means necessary. Right. And when we say by any means necessary, our own people get worried. Oh God, what are they talking, man, about enemy? No, I can't do it by any means necessary. When people know you're scared, guess what? They go ahead and take advantage of that. They take advantage of it. And that's what I'm saying. We cannot be taken advantage of. No, all of us are not going to come out this unscarred.
Right.
All of us are not going to come out here unscathed. But guess what? We got to fight. We got to fight. If one goes down, the other one got to stand up. And that's what we are afraid of. We used to not be afraid of it because we knew at the end of the day, we didn't have no rights, and we were willing to die for what we needed to die for to better our race. Mm-hmm. So, it's just certain times we can't be scared. Yes, we try to instill fear in each other. And, I see it all the time, and it pisses me off. When somebody white says something or does something, we cower down. Mm-hmm. But when somebody Black does it, we bristle up.
Right.
I'm like this. I'm an equal opportunity Negro. Oh, I bristle up with anybody and do whatever I got to do with anybody. You understand what I'm trying to say? We can take it whatever way we can take it intelligently. We can take it to the boardroom, or we can take it some other place too if it goes with that. But what we see, because you and I deal with real estate, we deal with funding. We see it in a different way, but it's still there. Right. All of us on this panel, when we deal with other people, let's be real. Yeah. They don't like us.
Oh no.
They respect us because we have value in some kind of way.
Right.
But what we're seeing happen right now is that when your rights are taken away, I'm not going to mention DEI because DEI didn't benefit us that much anyway. But when you talk about the Civil Rights Voting Act, when you talk about grant funding down here, we have a Black organization called the Circle of Brotherhood. Mm-hmm. The Circle of Brotherhood received a $2.2 million grant from the Biden administration to do positive things in the Black community. Just last week, that grant got snatched away.
Wow.
Now, and see that's what's gonna we'll cut you down like this. We'll do this to you. We'll go ahead and show you that your rights don't matter. If you see my shirt says Black voters matter and Black votes matter. It does. But we won't get out and vote because we've been taught that it does not matter. I tell people, look, vote and
it don't matter. They just showed you. They
Can I
just showed you it didn't matter.
Hold on. I want to touch on that. I want to touch on that.
They just showed you that.
What Clapp just said is so true, right? But the thing is that when it comes to economics, especially in the Black community, we waste billions of dollars on stuff that we don't need. Women can't even go outside without makeup or their natural hair. They can't do it. I don't understand why we do that. Men, they want to sit up here and go buy the latest J's or the flyest car. You know what I mean? A car note, mind you, or leasing vehicles. Just because you can afford $500,000 for you get pre-approved for that on a loan doesn't mean that that's what you need to go and max it out at.
Right.
Thank you.
Credit cards, max it out, all of this crazy stuff that Black people do. You understand what I'm saying? If we could take our money and put it together or allocate it to do something good, that 2.5 million that just got taken away from that organization down there, brother, wouldn't even really affect us. But the reason why we're targeted the most is like Dr. Claudie Anderson said, when it comes to economics, Black people are not really the driving force behind that.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, I have conversations. I was speaking at Miami-Dade College last month. And we were talking about gentrification and economics. I said, listen, I think as a diaspora, we have it all wrong. I say, we're thinking about the residential real estate. I say, what you got to think about is the commercial real estate. I say, because when you control the buildings, you control who works in your neighborhood, then you control who lives in your neighborhood. I say, so we're missing the boat thinking it's residential when it should be economic and commercial real estate that we're looking at. But once again, we've been taught some things. Usually we find out about things when everybody else has made money on them and they've moved on to the next thing. But people get upset with me when I say economically. When you talk about how do we make change, I can all but guarantee you this. If economically we were on par or we could do for ourselves, our attitudes in our neighborhoods would be a lot better. Let's think about all the Black towns that were eradicated off the face of the map here in America because they were doing better than the white towns that they were next to. Let's think about that. Tulsa, Rosewood, Lake Lanier, all of that. So we all suffer from PTSD and we're fractured and we don't know what to do, but economically it starts there. Because if you go ahead and you can get the people economically say, hey, you know what, we can do better for ourselves. We can go ahead and have our own chops. We can fund our own things. But when the false narrative is totally given to you, fed to you every day, that the only way you're going to be rich is if you wear those red bottoms, if you drive a Range Rover, if you have them Tom Ford shoes. I don't even know what the hell Tom Ford shoe. I just heard somebody say it. That's why I'm saying that. You know, if you have these trappings that make you look like you're wealthy, then you are wealthy. You're somebody, and if you don't have it, you're nobody. And we see that happening within our culture because we've been disenfranchised so long until we feel that makes us somebody. And then what happens is when you don't have it or you don't have the means to get it, what you do? Well, I'm going to go out and take that. I'm going to go out and take that. Since I've been taught with the Willie Lynch syndrome, I don't love my brother and sister. Oh, they can't have it. I'm going to take it from them.
Amen.
So it's a cycle that has been planned. We know it's a cycle that's been planned, but it's going to have to take enough of us to just talk about it. We won't see a change in our lifetime, bottom line. But we can start trying to lay the foundation. Brother Hopkins, I agree with what you said. All of us ain't meant to be on the same team. But as long as whatever team we're on is rowing together for the common cause, and we can meet at the finish line, that's all that matters.
Right. Right.
Well, I tell y'all what, man, this conversation, I've enjoyed it. It's one that the culture needed.
Absolutely.
And we've got to learn from it. And I'm gonna give an opportunity for everybody to give their departing words. Any movements that we already know with Mr. Hopkins what he's got going on, but Mr. Clapp, Ms. Sean, any movements that you got going on, or projects you got going on.
Yes.
Put it out there for the people so they can see it. So whoever wants to go first.
Yeah. So for me, you know, that's my way of giving back to the community. So being a certified, you know, firearms instructor, I'm a part of the 2A community. You can go look me up on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, and you see I shoot all over the nation. I go to different places shooting. And so what's really profound about it, because when you go to ranges, you typically see other people out there, right? So what I love within our community, you see more and more Black people out there getting into competitive shooting or actually taking, you know, their personal protection, you know, seriously. So in the event, if somebody was to commit a home invasion, or if you're in your vehicle, you have to protect yourself, they have the means to do so. They're not just pulling out a firearm, pointing and shooting and not even hitting the target. You know, they're actually learning the fundamentals of shooting so they can shoot accurately. And then also just knowing the gun laws too.
Okay. Question for you, Lashonda. So is it true that if you are a felon, you can't be licensed to carry a gun? But if you have like a misdemeanor, can you get licensed, or does it depend on what kind of charge with that misdemeanor, like for second degree assault or something like that? Like,
right. So that's going to depend on the state, your prospective state, number one. I do know felons and firearms just don't mix. It don't matter what state you're in. But as far as when it comes like simple assault, what the charge was, anything domestic, no. But if it's anything as far as like simple assault or whatever, you can typically get those things expunged from your records.
Gotcha. That's nice to know.
Yeah.
That's and I just thought about it while you said it. You know, felons and firearms don't mix, but a felon can run the country. Ain't that some shit?
I know. We're
Another
not
show.
gonna go there, Larry. We're not gonna go there.
We ain't got time for that one. We ain't got time for that.
You got to start another hour show, man. Another hour, 2 hour show right with that.
No, brother, got to get up in the morning.
Now, Jamarr, I definitely want to be a part of your team and want to support you 150%. Anything I can do or we can do, please let us know. So how do we get connected on that part, or for the audience that's watching right now, how can we support you?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm Justice Fataj on TikTok. A lot of different content. I'm Jamarr Hopkins on Facebook. But for the most part, TikTok is really where I'm really active at. Right now, like I said, I'm learning to edit, so I'm putting together some. I'm putting together the case the way I want it formatted. Some people have done it, you know. Some people have platformed this case for me, but I want to put it together the way I wanted to, how I wanted to present it. And you know, best thing for me is to share, like, you know, the normal TikTok things, just to try to push the case out there. If you know some people in a certain area who's willing to platform the case or willing to talk to me about the case, some type of media outlets, then by all means, you can plug me in with them. I'm always willing to talk about it and get it out there. I appreciate it.
For sure. We got you.
And what I did, I just looked it up to make sure I spelled it right, and it has the hashtag. So if you see in the comment section right there on TikTok, that's the handle right there. Follow him on TikTok and stay up to what everything, all the developments and everything right there. Justice Fataj. Got it. Definitely follow. Yes, sir. Mr. Clapp, go ahead on and give us your departing words and everything you got going on, sir.
Well, you know, only thing I'll say is the penalty of leadership. There's a penalty when you're a leader. There's a penalty when you're trying to do the right thing, you know, and one thing about it, we accept that penalty when we step up in our communities to try to rectify any wrongs. In my community down here in Miami-Dade County, especially in the southern part, is my role with the NAACP is not one of we shall overcome. I already told them that. I'm in it strictly for economic development. Because I know that is the pathway to help us get on some type of level footing, not equal, but level footing. So what we're doing, we're spotlighting businesses down here. We're bringing a lot of things to the community, not just seminars where people talk, but we're bringing true things where we're able to teach and able to actively initiate some things, such as crowdfunding, such as doing things with commercial real estate, and change the mindsets and actually start buying up our neighborhoods, buying up our malls, buying up things like that, and controlling the economics. Now, the funny thing about it is that sometimes you get pushback from your own kind. You get pushback from your own kind because you don't march to the beat of your politicians or what they may say, or they just don't understand what you're doing and they don't want to go ahead and put the sweat equity into it to get it done. So a lot of times when we start things like this, what do we have to do? We have to change mindsets. It's going to take time for us to change the mindsets, to initiate the program, but we're out there planting the seeds. We have the programs in place, and we are looking for the proper people. And it was so funny because I told them in the NAACP meeting, I said, look, let me tell you something. Anybody can't be on this committee. If you want to march and hold a sign, this ain't the committee for you to be on. Go on the committee that does that. But what we want to do is we want to develop economically in our South Dade area and show it can be done.
Right.
When we have the right plan in place, the right people in place with the right energy. And I think it can be done, and I'll support anybody else's initiatives on it. Brother, you know, you with your son, I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, and I haven't said too much about it because I only got one child. My son is 28 years old. And I worry about him constantly, even though he's a grown man. And even though he's in our land, I mean, constantly I worry about it because I understand how quick things can go left. So any way I can support you, you best believe I will be supporting you. Miss Hopkins, I definitely want to get with you. I mean, you and I may have some synergy there because we ain't finished fussing about some things either. So we got to finish fussing about some things.
I got family in Miami, number one. Lorna's right there in Miami Gardens. My aunt, they live in Broward County, right there off of Miramar Parkway before you get to university. So I'm going to be down in the Miami area.
When you get out, we got to talk about that right now.
Come see me, girl.
I can't wait to meet the equalizer. I can't wait to meet her.
I need her on my team to come help me out sometimes.
I know, right?
On this show.
But that's what I got going on down here in South Florida. I saw our NAAC president. He's in the chat, Harold Ford, and I want to give him a shout out because he's doing a lot of good things down here in the Southern Dade County community, which we call the Southern Kingdom. And I'm happy to be on his team, and we're going to do some big things down here in Southern Miami-Dade County with his leadership.
Nice.
That's
what's up.
That's what it's
all
all about.
I'm loving it. That's what I'm
Yes.
loving. That's what I'm loving. Sis,
Yes.
don't get your departing words. We about to put a bow on this thing.
Well, this show tonight definitely hit me hard. You know, I was going through a lot of different emotions. I wanted to say a lot more, but I was just so shocked and touched by, you know, especially with you, Jamarr, your situation. I mean, I can't imagine going through that. I have two boys myself, 22 and 18. So this show tonight was definitely touching. It was needed. As my brother was saying, this is why we do this, to get together, to network, to communicate, and be a voice. You know, you're not the only parent going through this, Jamarr. I know there's other parents just lost, don't know what to do, and that has given up. And you could be, and I know you are, the light and motivation to them as well. So I want to support you 150%. Like I said, I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to pray for all of us. You're definitely going to be in my prayers for your strength to continue to keep moving. Don't stop. Don't give up. And your son is always with you, and he's smiling on you, and he's proud of you too. Okay. So I don't want you to give up. I thank you, Lashonda. I thank you just to the whole panel, man. This was such a good show tonight. And this is what we need to keep doing. I love you guys. And this is Real Talk.
Absolutely. And D is saying for everybody to stay on. We're going to kind of get together after and kind of, have a little quick conversation when we get off the air. But I just want to go ahead and I just want to say, first and foremost, thank you to everybody. Real quick, I'm going to put the show email up right here. For anybody out there watching, anybody that you all may know here on the panel that may want to talk about something, any issues going on in the communities or whatever, if it needs to be talked about, if it needs to be put out there, contact us at those emails. Either one. It's Shy's email, my email, for the show right there, and we will definitely make it happen. Once again, I just want to thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your busy schedule. You didn't have to be here, but you took time to be here. And it was a necessary conversation, as Shai said, that needed to be had. And it's definitely not the last. Definitely not the last. You know, we just didn't have enough time to get into it. So I would say as the developments in the case take shape, as the court case takes shape, we'll probably schedule and do something down the line. And I guess as other crazy stuff happens in this world with this racial divide, we will get together and talk about it, and we'll bring other people on as well.
Yeah.
Definitely. So we have a show in a couple of weeks with Miss Lashonda in a couple of weeks. I just want to remind everybody, I believe it's May 27th.
Correct.
And real quick, just to kind of give them a little sample size.
Yeah.
What I know you and D went over the specifics of it. What are we going to be talking about when you come on with us?
Yep. So basically, we're going to be talking about real estate, the difference between actually being a realtor and actually being a broker, the difference of what you see on social media, you know, because everybody who is a realtor is not rich. Okay. That is a misconception. As far as, you know, just letting people know it's a lot of money that you put up front to become a realtor. And what makes you a realtor, just giving you a quick one, you're part of the National Association of Realtors. You're a member. So you pay those hefty dues every year annually. Okay. So that's what makes you a realtor. So everybody's not a realtor. And then also too, you know, just like I said, highlighting the good, the bad, and the ugly as it relates to real estate.
That's going to be a fire show, because we always hear it looks like every time I look, it's always good stuff, people making money and all of this stuff. And
now that does happen. That is happening, but you know what I'm saying? You have some people who don't sell not one house.
Right. Yeah. It's a dark side. It's a dark side. Definitely. So, but that's it. That's real talk. So we'll be back. If the Lord says the same, in 2 weeks, we'll have another hot topic. And share the show. Once again, shout out to everybody on TikTok that came over for the first time. And shout out to everybody that was here in the chat. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share it. We had some good conversations, so put it out there so everybody can see it. Before we get out of here, I gotta do it. it. So Miss Sean and Mr. Jamarr, we got a certain way that we bring the show in. It's derived from the origins of the sports side of the show. And we got a certain way that we take the show out. So I'm gonna need hold up. Where Mr. Clapp at? Hold up, he just snuck on up out of here. Hold on,
He did.
You ain't.
I'm in the room. No, I'm in the room. I hit the wrong button and got disconnected. I was waiting for you to let me back in.
All right. Because look, I know we had trouble getting you to do this when you was on the show with us before. So guess what? You ain't getting away with this one. So what we do is, y'all know the University of Miami. That's what we do. All right, there you go. So what we do is, when we get out of here, we always do our normal routine. We start every show and we end every show. It ain't no us without you. So we're gonna say our saying, and I'm gonna need y'all to throw it up like this. Like I say, listen, Devin gonna be in that back row. So if y'all don't do it, y'all gonna hear from the boss. The boss gonna have something to say. So once again, thanks everybody for joining us. Blessings to all of y'all, and anything that any of y'all would need, please reach out.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
We'll be in touch. We'll be in touch.
Definitely. And y'all know how we start every show, and y'all know how we end every show. Ain't no us. Tell them, sis. Throw them up.
Without you, baby.
Oh yeah. That's real talk. That's real talk.
So cute.
You already know. How we do it. Y'all hang around after. We're gonna have a quick get together after, so don't go nowhere.
Okay.
We out of here.
Okay.
All right, we'll holler.
From the heart of the city to the edge of the world, telling stories of black kings and queens.
It's you talk, baby.
Every topic, every voice, like a new kind of pearl, shining light on truths to make the future swirl. It's real talk, baby. El Frank and Shy Blue coming through, baby. Real topics, real stuff for the people, baby. Buckle up and let's roll with real talk, baby. It's real talk, baby. It's real talk, baby. It's real talk, baby. And it ain't no me without you, baby. It's you talk, baby, and it ain't no me without you, baby. From the heart of the city to the edge of the world.
It's you talk, baby.
Kings and queens, we're both in a row. Every time we kept